And we're live.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. I call today's meeting with the Architectural Review Board to order. We'll start with the old business first, continuations, starting with 2025-37, 33 Ardsley Avenue.
Good evening, members of the board. David Barbuti, architect, representing the Wilfords at 33 Ardsley Avenue West. We're here tonight seeking approvals for a backyard landscaping plan. We were here last month and we were asked to come back because we did not receive planning board approval. So we've received site plan approval from the planning board. Based on the drawings you have in front of you. And if you'd like, I could go over, share the screen, go over anything that you would like me to revisit.
Sure, share your screen, and we reviewed most of the application, and I don't think we had many questions. The only open item was the deer fence. So if you could show us the your new fence plan and the landscape plan, that's pretty much what we need to do.
Sure. So, guess we could start with this. This is landscaping plan. Once again, along Bertha Place, we have a 3-foot high picket fence. There is a section along the southerly property line in between some of the existing evergreens that will be a 6-foot high deer fence, and then continue further on in the southeasterly direction will be picked up again with a picket fence similar to Bertha. The location of the deer fence, as it was approved by the planning board and at last month's meeting, is going to vary in between the existing evergreens. Roughly 7 feet to 12 feet off the property line. The property line is presently right here where my hand is, and the deer fence is intermingled in the evergreens over here. Scope of the project basically is a reconstruction of an existing raised patio, some formal gardens and seating areas, a small 119 square foot in-ground pool with a small patio area. And once again, it is bound along the Bertha Avenue with a brick wall, and then comes back to some fencing for the pool protection. All the gates comply with the requirements of the building code. That is pretty much it. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
So the deer fence on this plan appears to be going inside of the azaleas, I think they are.
There's evergreens over here.
Yeah. So that looks a little bit different than what I saw before. So you pull the fence back, and we have that vegetation is now screening the deer fence.
Yes. I mean, it's always been in that location. I think because of the complexity of some of the prior drawings, this kind of softens it up a little so you can probably understand it. For the planning board, I did prepare a fence location plan. If you'd like to see that, it's very similar to this. But that's up to you.
Okay. Do you guys need to see the fence plan, or?
No, I'm okay with it.
Did you see the letter from the neighbor?
Yes, I did. And it's my understanding that there was conversations back and forth between the Wilfords and the neighbor. Um, there are a couple of locations where they have talked about there's some shrubs to be determined, I think to hide some of the bare spots. But those haven't formally been, figured out yet because of the dead. So the problem is, um, you know, if you look at the pictures that were in that letter, uh, the trees extend to the property line. So I think we're gonna have to try to figure out what type of plantings those are. Only because, there's really not a lot of room on our property to plant. And I think that there's maybe a foot between the property line and the neighbor's driveway. So,
Okay.
I mean, there have been conversations, throughout this whole process.
So there've been, what has the concession been with respect to plantings in the front?
I think that, so looking at this, there are some plantings that will try to hide some spots, which I don't think are very many. It's just the difficulty trying to figure out what to put there that's going to survive.
Would you point on this drawing where the area of concern is specifically with the neighbors that wrote the letter?
So I'm looking over
Driveways.
here, and I think it's right here.
Right here?
It says shrubs to be determined. That is, I believe that's an area, and I think there was another area possibly up over here. For some reason, it is not coming up on this drawing, and I don't understand that.
So the TBD plants at the bottom, is that in front of the deer fence or in front of the picket?
I think that's in front of the picket, but I know I had a drawing that had it up here. If you let me just stop sharing and let me see if I can find that drawing. There we go. Okay, here we go. You can see that?
Yes.
Okay, so right up here, I see shrubs TBD. It's a revision number 6. It's actually up in this area. And then the previous plan also showed it over here down at the bottom to be determined on a previous revision that we did.
Is that included in the plans we're approving today?
So this was a plan that I received very early on today from the landscape designer. And I'm not sure that it actually got to your package. But I could, submit it and hopefully it could be part of the approval.
And those TBDs at the top there, that's the southwest side, is that right?
That is correct.
Does anybody else have questions?
Between the last plan and this one, other than the front there, what about the 3 that we see, the shrubs on this towards the back end? You said by the driveway. I didn't see them in the original plan. So those new as well?
This was actually under revision number 3, so I believe these should have been in your set.
I saw those.
Okay.
All right. Do we have anybody that wants to?
Yes, there's 2 hands raised. The first person that raised their hand was Heidi Kraus.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, thank you very much for the time. And David, thank you for explaining that. I had seen Erin nicely did text me this picture over the weekend, I think, or Friday, Saturday. I guess my my respectful ask continues to be there are multiple foliage gaps, and so it's hard for me to say exactly what the two circles at the front of the driveway mean exactly, because my feedback to her had been that, two shrubs is not going to cover the area. It's a 6 foot high mesh wire fence, and there are several exposed areas. And while I understand that it cannot be perfectly covered, we have no property to work with. And, our hands are kind of tied. I don't want to be stuck looking at this mesh deer fence every single day. So to me, there needs to be more happening in the front because there are several exposed areas. Again, it's 6 foot high deer fence. We have low plants in some of that area. So, you know, I don't think it should trigger us to change all of our landscaping. I think there needs to be more happening for screening respectfully from our neighbors. And my understanding, by the way, of where those TBD shrubs are in the back end, that I think is in front of the wood fence, and kind of where that, my understanding at least, and maybe I'm wrong, that it's kind of where the wood fence and the deer fence, where the deer fence ends, the wood fence starts. So that looks like, if I'm understanding this correctly, that looks okay there, but I think there needs to be more happening in the front. Two shrubs, I don't know I can't read exactly what's if it just says shrubs TBD, but I think there needs to be more screening to actually not make it a daily eyesore for us. We unfortunately don't have property to work with on our side. Like anything we could plant on our side of the property would be like us triggering expense by replacing low plants with higher plants, but that's not going to solve all the problem. And if the Wilfords are adding this deer fence, respectfully, we're asking for it to be properly screened so that, we're somehow jointly solving this problem. I just don't want them to sort of do this and then we're stuck with it. I've been asking for a mutually agreeable solution since we found out about this in beginning of April. So I just would feel much more comfortable with something clear in writing.
Okay, so I did take notes of the new drawing that we're looking at. So if we do make a ruling today, it's going to include that.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I did make note of the TBD at the southwest corner of the landscaping plan that we're looking at right now. That's something new, and if we do make a ruling today, that will be
Sorry,
Mr.
you're hard to hear.
we're gonna include the TBD in the southwest corner of this plan. That is a new plan, and if we make a ruling today, it will include those new plantings.
And are we able to get additional solutions? Because I'm telling you, based on where we sit on our property line and what we're looking at, I do not believe that's going to cover the deer fence. So or maybe I'm misunderstanding what shrubs TBD means. Does that mean just the two evergreens, or will that be some statement saying that it's going to be a little more comprehensive than that to cover where possible this exposed deer fence? It's 6 feet high. It's going to be very visible. I shared the pictures.
I'm not sure. I mean, the TBD is because it's a very shady spot. So TBD means they've got to find a plant that'll survive.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if I may speak, our landscape designer is actually next in line to speak, so she could address
okay,
what was discussed with the Wilfords.
All right, let's do that.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Isabel Herbold of Sol Design, and I'm the landscape designer. So yes, I just wanted to address these concerns. Sorry, it took me a while to get on the mic, but so this note in the southwest corner, thank you for recording that in writing. This was added after Heidi and the Wilfords had their discussions last week. And basically, the reason the note says shrubs TBD is because, exactly to your point, we need to get shrubs that are large enough, tall enough, have a big enough spread to, cover that gap. And we didn't want to like say it's a viburnum when in fact we're going to do a native yew because that's preferable. Another thing that we discussed with the Wilfords and with you, Heidi, is that when we begin construction on this project, there will be a significant number of shrubs and potentially even trees that will need to be transplanted, temporarily healed in, or transplanted permanently. So this back portion of the property right away, could be planted with those shrubs, a mixture of shrubs. We've even discussed, different options. That's why it says TBD, but I just want to get it on the notes that we ensure that that will be planted on Heidi's side. It'll be properly screened and not, visible. It won't be an eyesore. So yeah.
Are you open to putting more than two? Because it just has
Yes,
two.
okay, I wanted to address that as well.
Yeah.
Those circles are, those are 6 feet diameter circles. So for example, a viburnum has a spread of, it in a shady spot, maybe more like 7 feet, but up to 12 feet. And a height of, 8 to 10 feet in its mature state. So when we draw a planting plan, we're drawing it as planted, the size. So, and it's just a diagrammatic representation. But in terms of that tree, that big pine in the corner near where those 2 shrubs are drawn, that trunk's 3 feet. There's probably about 12 feet, 8 feet to 12 feet where, there's a space between that corner pine where the post is and where that line of spruce trees begins. And the intent is to completely screen that portion of the fence from the outside and the inside. And the same thing down beyond where Heidi, you were correct, that the shrubs that are in the, original plan that's filed, those 3 shrubs, it's just representational, but it's basically, that's where the wood fence has begun, and the intent is to screen that area as well, And beyond that, we also changed the design of the fence for, to appease the neighbors on both sides. So, we're really hoping that everything we've done up to this point, changing the design of the fence, moving the line of the fence, and planting on the Wilfords property, but on the neighbor's side of the new fence, that, we can satisfy everybody.
Okay. So you're saying that when you start this moving and replanting, you're going to work with neighbor or work
Yes.
on screening the entire fence,
Yes,
the deer fence.
yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions. Is there anybody else?
Heidi has her hand raised, but I didn't take, you can make your comment, Heidi. If you want.
Oh, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Isabel, thank you very much for explaining that. And we do appreciate the flexibility. I just want to make sure I'm triple clear on this though. Because that one area where you have the shrubs TBD note, that is not the only area where there is going to be, an exposed and visible deer fence. So there are more areas in the front of the property and I just want to make sure again, it's not just that in that one area, it will be wherever it's possible, wherever there's some big visual exposed fence moving along that deer fence, you will try to fill in with screening. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then the only area, unfortunately, which is like a stretch, but just again, so we're on the same page, there's a big area of the deer fence, which is basically right outside of our kitchen window, right in front of the spruce trees. There's no room to plant anything on our side. We're working with 1 foot. And I'm assuming there was nothing that could be done in the middle there to cover any visible stakes or anything.
As you can see on this plan, because we've moved the fence 7 to 12 feet off the property line and into the midline of that run of evergreens, there's room to plant shrubs. You have to plant something that's going to survive there. We're going to have all this other plant material that needs a home, so we will absolutely do what we can.
Well,
And
yeah.
the Wilfords have made that clear to you, and I'm saying it now on record,
Yeah, no, thank you. I don't think it has been made that clear up until now, to be honest with you. I had to reach out to them again a week ago just to try to get some resolution here in advance of the meeting, but I'm glad that this is progressing. And to be clear, we never asked for any visual change to the picket fence our issue has always been the deer fence because the deer fence runs along our entire property line and is right off of our driveway. And we have no ability to mitigate this ourselves on our own property because of the placement. So yes, of course, we appreciate it was moved back. I really have no idea how that would have been put up without accessing our driveway, but I'm glad that it was moved back and that we appreciate, sort of this newfound flexibility to do some proper screening. So I think that's great.
Great.
Is that it? What is how do I reference this landscape plan that we're looking at? Is there a version number or?
It's an
So
updated, I'll let Dave respond.
No,
It's an
go
updated planting plan, so.
Right, it's an updated planting plan. It has,
L400, I believe.
it is L400 and it is revision number 6.
Yes.
Okay. If there's no more questions, I guess we'll move to a vote. So I move to approve the application stated in the documentation with the caveat that the new L400 landscaping plan version 6 has noted TBD plantings on the southwest corner and the intention to use all the replantings to screen the entire deer fence. Do I have a second? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I will move on to new matters. And the next one is ARB 2025-39, Community Trust, One Bridge Street.
Good evening. My name is Tyler. I'm from Sign Extreme, and I'm going to be presenting this application for furnishing and installing 4 window awnings to go in the courtyard area of One Bridge Street for the New York Community Trust. And if you see here, if I can. Change this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this basically is the plan of the awnings. It's 4 awnings that go across each of the windows. 2 of them have lettering, and 2 of them are just blank.
Okay. Does Bridge Street have a design guide for signage?
I know they do some of the copper signs and things of that nature in-house in their shop, but I guess we do a lot of the signs there actually. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, this particular design was they have a pretty strict branding department for their company, so everything with regards to color and layout was pretty specific for this particular job. Um, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if they have. That's a good question. I don't know if they have a specific, design person, but
Well, I meant there's some of these landlords provide design guides for complexes, but I
hmm,
guess you'll find out and
yeah.
be back to us if there's an issue. I have no other questions. Any other questions from the board?
Nope.
No. All right, then I move to approve the application as stated in the documentation. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
The next application, ARB 2025-40, 3 Downing Court.
Somebody there.
Can you hear us?
Hello?
If you're there, you're muted.
Farma, you can make your presentation. I don't know if she's having technical difficulties, but she is not muted. Parama?
It shows her as a participant in the
I added her as a
panel.
panelist.
Guess we can come back.
Yeah, she's not muted, so she can, I don't know if she can't hear us, but she's here. Parama?
Well, we can move on. If you're there, we'll come back to you at the end. So the next application is ARB 2025-41 5 down.
Oh, I think she's the same one.
Oh, okay.
It's the attached houses,
Yeah.
so. Add her again. She's here.
Nothing. So, all right, let's move on. All right, ARB 2025-42 8 Leafwood Terrace, a deck. Hi.
Good evening. James Krapp from Studio Park, representing 8 Leafwood Terrace. Can everybody hear me? All good?
Gotcha.
Great, thank you. This is a fairly straightforward submission. We are replacing an existing deck in kind with slightly new materials and a little bit of an expansion. We had gone through ZBA and Planning Board, and now we're here to just present the design of the deck itself. I can share my screen and give you a little bit of context. So just really quick for context, this is off Harriman, Leafwood Terrace. Just to show you the site plan real quick, this is the existing site. You can see there's an existing wood deck. It's in disrepair. We're proposing a new deck, mostly in kind with a little bit of an expansion. I'll show you that in 2 seconds. For frame of reference, this is at a cul-de-sac on the end of Leafwood Terrace. The deck itself is totally covered and totally obstructed by the house itself. You really can't see anything from the street. So just a couple photos. A couple photos of the deck in the rear, which is what we're plus or minus replacing. And just some more context photos. These are the materials proposed at this time. New cable or cable railing, some TimberTech potential screening front of the deck. You'll see that in 2 seconds. Outdoor kitchen, porcelain countertops. The decking is to be determined. We're in between a couple colors and we're working on pricing, but it also can't really be seen. Just to get you more in context again, here is, sorry. Here is, again, here is the old deck. And here's the proposed new deck and outdoor kitchen. And then there's a slightly lower deck and the stairs have moved to the opposite side to get better access from the existing pool. All of that is existing, no changes at this time to that. It's been there. There are some minor changes to the interior that you'll see that potentially affect the rear facade. A couple doors became windows, etc., and you'll see that in 2 seconds. So again, old deck in orange, demolished, new deck in black, lower deck. And then Here's essentially the rear elevation. So orange is being removed. We're replacing an old door with a couple of double hung windows that match all the existing windows. A new door is being moved under the deck to change access. And just to zoom in. Oops. Here's the new screened kitchen. You can't really see anything. It's going to get covered in cladding. There's some storage under the deck, also covered in that cladding we were looking at before. And there's the metal railing that we suggested before that you can see in these materials. That's plus or minus it. So any questions, let me know.
The cladding you're putting on, does that match the house or it's?
No, it's a different color. The existing house is essentially navy blue or dark blue gray. It's going to be a gray tone that is similar to more like it's this color here. It's this cool gray color. So it's not going to match the building. It's a little different.
And then the material on the deck, you said, is still.
It's going to be
it's going
to be a composite deck that's either gray or brown in tone. We're just going back and forth on materials. Haven't figured it out, and we're also pricing. These two materials cost slightly different in cost, so we're between the two right now.
Okay. All right, I have no other questions. Anybody else?
Nope.
No. All right, then I move to approve the application as stated in documentation. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Unless the other person came back, I think I'm next too.
Oh.
But let me know.
Well, let's go ahead and do your next one.
Okay.
Let me just call it here.
Go for it.
ARB 2025-43, 23 Park Road.
Once again, James Krupp from Studio Park, representing the owners of 23 Park Road. This is mostly an interior renovation of their kitchen, which is changing a few exterior windows. So just again, to give you context, Park Road, also off Harriman, not too far away from the last project. This project was before you for extensive landscape work that's already approved and under construction. That's not part of our scope. We are essentially focused on two areas in particular. This side here, where we're changing some windows, and the rear lower level here. We're not changing anything else. All the colors and materials are essentially patch and match. We're just moving things around. Again, focused on that area. So this area, and then this area underneath the existing condensers. And then I'll show you the plan. So essentially, we're just taking, we're taking the existing kitchen and the laundry room, expanding it into a bigger kitchen breakfast area and expanding the opening in the family room to this plan that you see here. And subsequently that changes these 4 openings. And that's what you see here. So what we're doing is the orange is going away and it's getting replaced in kind with similar units to what are there. We're proposing gliders and awnings in lieu of older French awnings, which aren't really available from Equitable brands these days. And that's pretty much it. Colors, materials, everything matches. And most of this is on the back side or south side of the house that's pretty heavily screened. So any questions, let me know.
I have no questions. Anybody else?
No questions.
It was easy. I move to approve the application as stated in the documentation. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
So let's go back to Downing Courts.
She logged off. I just sent her an email suggesting to log off and log back on.
Okay. We'll wait a minute.
If there was technical difficulties, that might help. Oh, you want to wait?
that the last applicant?
Well, the same person for the last two.
Yeah.
I'm trying to promote her to a panelist. Farma, you can make your presentation. She's there and she's not muted. It's the same issue. You want me to share my screen?
She's got to call in though. But she could, is there a phone number? She can just, have to join the Zoom.
Well, there's a phone number for Zoom that's on the agenda, or it's part of the invitation on the email.
Okay. If you can call in on the number, we could bring up the application.
Farma, can you? Farma, the phone number is there. It's muted. I'm asking to unmute. If you can unmute. Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Yes. Do you hear me?
Bit of an echo.
Oh, you'll have to mute your computer.
Pardon?
Put the mute on your computer. Gosh.
Commuter.
Hold on, I'll take care of that.
I'm not sure what's happening. Do you hear me from computer or from phone?
From the phone, but you have to mute your computer. Lower the volume on your computer, please.
Hello.
Still got an endless echo here.
Hello?
If we,
Oh, better.
there, I think you got
Hello?
it. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I guess, okay, I'm sorry about that. never do this, so this is my first time, and I really apologize for it.
No problem.
Okay.
So, which one is this we're looking at here? I just need
You're
to,
looking at 3 Downing Court?
3? Okay, so
Yeah.
let me just say this, we're going to hear ARB 2025-40, 3 Downing Court. Go ahead.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think I lost your screen now. So, but I can describe it for you. What we're doing, you have the drawing. We have a pergola, which is an open pergola in front of our entry. And, you know, the only reason we want to change it because there always rain and snow, you know, when you're coming and going. And, you know, the other houses that we submitted the photos, they all have all the same thing. They have the pergola, but they made it roofed pergola. So that's what we are trying to do the roof pergola. So, and it's a simple at the entry there, and that's what we are trying to do.
Okay, this is pretty simple. You're just putting a roof on the pergola and that's it, right?
No, the existing framing was not, you know, suitable for the roof. So we are taking the existing framing and putting a new framing so we can put the roof on. And also because we don't want it to get dark there, we are putting a piece of glass on top. That's all we are doing. It's actually polycarbonate piece.
Okay. I have no
Okay.
questions. Does anybody else?
No.
No questions. So I move to approve the application as stated in the documentation. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you representing the other one also, 5?
Yeah, I can represent them because I was the applicant, and that's the same story because we are attached house, and the open pergola, we want to change it to roof pergola, and because it's a share entry area, and we're taking the existing framing out to put the new roof pergola.
Okay. I have no questions. Anybody else?
No.
No. So I move to approve ARB 2025-41, 5 Downing Court as stated in the application. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And again, I apologize for what happened at the beginning, and I bothered you with the echo and everything.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks. So if there's no other business, any questions? I move to adjourn the meeting.